Muhammad Umar Farooq biological video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. You can also answer question to each other for solving the problem. So today we will discuss about the plant science, which that is structure and function of plant. So the structure and function of plant we will discuss in this video a little bit. That is the overview, and we will also understand that is the absorption of mineral and water into the root. So here is a plant which contain a basically leaf. Leaf is important used for the photosynthesis, so it means it is also used for the respiration and transpiration. So here is the meristem. So the meristem mean it meristem contain apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. So the intercalary meristem is here, while the lateral meristem is inside in the form of cambium. So it means the meristem is the potential to divide their cell is parenchyma. That parenchyma cell is the living cell, which that is ability to divide and differentiate. While here is the spore system in the form of stem and branches is basically collenchymatous tissue and sclerenchymatous tissue, collenchyma and sclerenchyma cell, which that means it is non-living and it is in the form of xylem, and that is collenchyma and sclerenchyma, which that is made up of pectin and cellulose, which that is used for the rigidity and support and flexibilities also due to the deposition of suberin. While here is the lining is also. So here is the root system, which that is contained. Here is the water and mineral which that absorb and go into toward the photosynthesis reaction occur where. So the here is the transport. Transport is due to the xylem and phloem. That is the vascular bundle or vascular tissue, which that is used. Xylem used for the mineral and water transport, while the phloem is used for the food. And here is the protective layer is known as the epidermis. Cork and bark are present in the stem, which that is used for the protection. So the soil contains rich nutrient which that is absorbed in the form of nitrogenous compound etc. by the fixation of nitrogen fixing bacteria. So here is the leaf which that is cross section. If we will discuss about that is we are understanding the photosynthetic system. So here is the cross section of the leaf, which contain a Palisade mesophyll cell, and upper is the epidermis or cuticle. It is also known as epicuticle, and down is contain a stomata, which that is made up of 2 or 4 guard cell, which that is used for the incoming and outcoming of the carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange. While here is the vascular bundle which that is present, and here is the basically epidermis or hypodermis. So hypodermis is the downside of the leaf and epidermis is the upper part of the leaf. So hypodermis contain a stomata, while here air sacs are present which that is used for the respiration, for example the carbon dioxide and oxygen, as well as transpiration. So the bundle sheath cell is wrapping around the vascular bundle, which that is made up of xylem and phloem. So the xylem and phloem is surrounded by the bundle sheath cell. So here I am drawing the basically Palisade mesophyll cell, which that is contain a chloroplast. So this chloroplast is the double membrane organelle is used for the photosynthesis, because their important character is that it's contain a chlorophyll pigment on the chlorophyll containing thylakoid membrane in the thylakoid, so that is floating around the stroma, floating in the stroma, which that is part of the chloroplast. So the chloroplast is the organelle which contain arbisco enzyme, which that is used for the production of glucose. While on the other hand there are different mechanisms we will not understand, just we should understand the concept. So here the light will fall on the thylakoid membrane, and carbon dioxide absorb and water in the presence of water that's produce oxygen and glucose. So the oxygen and glucose and water is the byproduct. So the oxygen is used for the respiration for animal, while the carbon dioxide is exhaled. So it means the increasing of the carbon dioxide is the benefit for the plant, while the harmful for the human body. So here is the roots cross section we will discuss just. So that's the root of the dicot root and monocot root. So the dicot root is the produced secondary growth, and it is woody, while the monocot is the non-woody, and it is scattering the xylem and phloem into the ground tissue, and that is the ground tissue. So basically here's the pith is the central part. Pith is important thing is that it is the storage of a mineral and metal ion, while here's the epidermis and here's the cortex. Cortex is looking like that is the in the color of gray, that is gray color is contain cortex, while the xylem is the brown color and green color shows that the phloem. So in the monocot is the not arranged. So the monocot, the ground tissue are scattering here and there in the basically inside of the pericycle. So the brown color lining shows that circle is the pericycle, endodermis, while inside is the light brown color is the pericycle. So the inside of the pericycle is the ground tissue, is the vascular tissue, xylem and phloem, which are used for the conduction of water and food. So the secondary growth is basically, so the growth of the stem is from outside to inside growth, epidermis to cortex, endodermis to cambium, and phloem to xylem, and ultimately pith, which that is the inside. So that's growth from outside to inside growth is this pattern in this form of. So here is the cross section of the basically side cross section of the root, which that show the zone of maturation. It means the mature tissue are present in the zone of maturation, while the zone of elongation is used for the cell elongate, and elongation of the cell is used for the movement of the root toward the chemical or away from the chemical or water is known as the chemotactic movement or phototactic movement, etc. So here is the epidermis and here is the root here, and while here is the root cap. Root cap is important thing is that it is used during the zone to cell division. So the cell division in the root cap are present, and which that is elongate the cell, and it means the giving the chance to insert into the soil, that's root, where the requirement is occur for plant. So the root is important thing is that it is used for the support into the plant for erection, while it is also used for the absorption of nutrients. While here the stem cross section. So the stem cross section is here, which that is the monocot stem and dicot stem. So the monocot stem is basically xylem and phloem are scattering just like in the root, while here the parenchymal epidermis are present, and it means its important thing is that photosynthesis also possible in the stem because it is green and non-woody. So it means it is present in the herb and herbs basically, while the dicot stem is the phloem and xylem are arranged in the well manner and secondary growth is occur, but monocot is not secondary growth, and epidermis is here and cortex is here, and here is the pith, which that is used for the storage of metal ion, and here the growth is epidermis to cortex and endodermis to cambium and phloem and xylem ultimately into the pith. So important thing is that the basically phloem, cambium, xylem, which that is a vascular bundle, which that is vascular bundle or vascular tissue. It is used for the conduction of water. So the movement of xylem inside is look like this. So it means the light brown is a primary xylem, while the high brown color shows that the secondary, while the movement of the xylem inside as compared to the phloem move in outside into the stem from central part to the outside. So the cambium, basically the pericycle, and basically pericycle used for it, and endodermis is the basically contain a basically Casparian strip. So we will discuss. So here we will discuss about the transportation of water and mineral from soil to root and stem. So here is the plant. This plant is embedded in the soil via a root. So this root is used for the absorption of water and mineral as well as giving the support to the plant. So it means when water move inside through the root, so it means the water and mineral is the transport actively. So energy is used for it. Why? Because it is against the osmotic gradient, against the gradient constriction, because inside of the root is more constriction while outside, but it is used for the absorption of water and mineral. It is due to the survival of the plant. So it means the actively move inside the water as well as the mineral. So the dissolved mineral go via a root here. So that means the basically here is the dissolved mineral go upward via a root here. So go into the epidermis, epidermis to cortex, and cortex to endodermis, and ultimately endodermis to go into the pericycle, while endodermis contain a Casparian strip which that use a different path. So it means the pericycle is present. After the pericycle go into the xylem and ultimately go into the leaves and branches. So it means here is a cross section which that is looking like this slice of the cross section. Here is a root here. This root here is absorb the water from the soil as well as mineral, and this mineral go into the basically go into the epidermis and cortex, cortex to endodermis, and endodermis to pericycle. There's that pericycle used for it, and a pericycle contain a living cell and go into the xylem. So the endodermis contain a Casparian strip, so water will change the path, and xylem, and ultimately go into the leaves and branches for photosynthesis and produce the sugar as well as other nutrients for. So that is why the plant is the autotroph, because it's produce energy itself. So here is the light when fall onto the plant. It means the carbon dioxide will be absorbed, and byproduct is the oxygen and water. So the water is in the form of transpiration. So the transpiration pool is due to humidity less, dry condition, airflow, photosynthesis and growth. That is the factor for increase the transpiration. So the transpiration will be increased, the loss of water is more. It means the absorption of water is also more. So that is cohesion tension theory is applied for it. So the sugar is important for plant to synthesis and make a fruit. So here I am drawing the cross section of the root to understand the absorption of the water and mineral from the root here. So here is the root here, and here is the soil particle. Soil particle is contain thin film of water tightly with clay particle, point with the clay particle. So here is the clay particle, and a root cap is here. Root cap is basically used for the movement of root. It means the movement of root. It means the embedded into the soil for anchoring of the plant. So important thing is that when water move inside, it means it is the basically epidermis, which that is basically used for the pathway. That pathway is known as the Apoplast pathway. So basically, first of all we will discuss about the symplast pathway. So this is the symplast pathway. So this is the symplast pathway. Symplast pathway mean the cell wall to cell wall movement of water, that is known as the symplast pathway. So here is the cortex between the endodermis and epidermis, that is the cortex. Cortex is use same mechanism, is known as the basically symplast pathway. While when go inside the vacular pathway, So the vacular pathway is also used. So the vacular pathway apoplast is greater value for water and mineral solutes, basically for water and mineral, and vacular pathway is negligible. So the basically apoplast pathway is used for it, because the symplast vacular pathway is the basically already vacuole contain a water, so that is not good for it, while the symplast pathway the mineral and water is move easily. So here is the movement from vacuolar pathway, and here is the endodermis contain a Casparian strip. Remember about that. Casparian strip is the suberin aligning deposition to give a strength and waxy structure, which that is inhibit the water movement. So the water will change their direction from apoplast pathway to basically symplast pathway to apoplast pathway. So the apoplast pathway is important, because the apoplast pathway is go from the cytoplasm to cytoplasm, while the vacuolar pathway is the vacuole to vacuole, and symplast pathway is the cell wall to cell wall movement. So ultimately that water will go into the xylem vessel. So the xylem vessel is inside of the stem. So here is the xylem vessel. So the water will move into the xylem vessel and ultimately move into toward the target site. For example, where the photosynthesis occur or transpiration will be occur. So that's etc. etc. So the apoplast is greater value for water, mineral, solutes, and it means that basically apoplast is greater because it is a cytoplasmic movement of water is important, because the mineral deposition and water deposition is comfortable for it. So here is the cross section of that. Here is the xylem and phloem of the stem is looking like this, and this is the basically you can imagine that is the basically xylem are here inside. So the xylem contain a xylem tissue. So the xylem tissue is contain pit. Pits is used for the movement of water from one vessel to another. So that is the vessel elements. It is also made up of smaller tracheids and long vessel. Vessel contain a pit. So that is the pitted vessel for use of the water movement as well as mineral. So I hope you make sense about that. Now we will discuss about the factors involved in ascent of sap. So what is the meaning of ascent of sap? Ascent of sap, the whole quantity of mineral and water will move upward from the root is known as the sap, and that is move the water is move always upward. So that means the ascent means the upward. So here is the we will discuss here is the cell wall of the xylem. So the xylem cell wall contain basically when water will move, so the cell wall will attach it the water molecule, and the hydrogen bonding will attract more the molecule and move upward and move on. So that's the tension. Basically here is the cohesion tension theory is applied for it, and the tension is between the molecule is the hydrogen bonding, and cohesion is also, while here is the attachment of with the cell wall is known as the adhesion. So the adhesive property of the water due to the cell wall. So the cell wall will absorb the water and move capillary reaction. So on the other hand, the root pressure is also used. Root pressure means the root will give the pressure, where the less amount of water root will be give the water. And imbibition means the basically secreted of salt into the xylem from other cell is known as, while the cellulose absorption of water is imbibition. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel and give the suggestion and thumbs up for more updates.